Yeah, and if you had the Bucks as the team to beat in the Eastern Conference before the season, you're full of shit. That's what it comes down to. You're full of shit.
For Complex News, I'm Piers Simpson, joined here by my guy, Complex Sports Editor, Mr. Adam Caparel. Cap, how you feeling, man?
We're feeling it.
We're feeling it. We're at the halfway point of the NBA season. All-Star break is officially here, as the NBA All-Star game will take place in Charlotte, North Carolina this year.
Beautiful Charlotte.
Yeah, beautiful Charlotte, Queen City. But Cap, with the NBA All-Star break comes Midseason Awards. So, of course, let's don our winners for this midseason. First up, I feel like the runaway winner of Rookie of the Year is Luka Doncic. That's my pick. Cap,
it's a no-brainer, yeah. It's like, how can you pick anybody else? There's a few of the candidates that are having some standout rookie seasons, but I mean, Luka is running away with it, and he has been a revelation, and he is going to be the centerpiece of your Dallas Mavs for years to come. So Luka Doncic, your runaway Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, runaway by far. He's not only the best rookie. He's already one of the best players in the NBA. You can
make a case should have been the All-Star squad.
For sure. He's being guarded by some of the top defenders in the league, and he's giving them buckets. I remember Toronto threw Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard at him, and he just had a triple-double. So he's
better than advertised, but by far the runaway Rookie of the Year.
Of course.
Should be consensus.
And it's tough because Trae Young is playing really well here lately, but he's going to always be overshadowed.
Yeah, no, there's some other candidates that have had some really good rookie seasons, but if Luka wasn't doing what he's doing, they would be in consideration, but there's really no justification for anyone else getting a vote.
For sure.
Like, he should be the runaway consensus Rookie of the Year.
So another runaway category is Coach of the Year. Cap, who's your Coach of the Year?
It's got to be Mike Budenholzer because what the Bucks have done, no one saw. I think their over-under for Vegas in the preseason was roughly 48.5 wins. They're going to have, I think, 41 or 42 in the All-Star break. So it's like, it's ridiculous what they've done. No one saw this coming. Obviously, Giannis's progression has been phenomenal, but to see how cohesive they are and how great they are defensively and offensively, no one saw this coming. Budenholzer did this a few years ago with the Hawks. Wore out his welcome eventually, but if Mike Budenholzer isn't your Coach of the Year, I don't know who your candidate should be.
And I agree with you on Coach of the Year. He took that Hawks team that nobody really knew, got them 60 wins, and he comes over to the Milwaukee Bucks, and the pieces just fit with that squad. Giannis is the engine. They line him up with shooters, and they can just go. Against Indiana right before the All-Star break, he was able to drop a triple-double. The fact that Giannis has been playing out of his mind, Coach Bud definitely has some.
Yeah, and if you had the Bucks as the team to beat in the Eastern Conference before the season, you're full of shit. That's what it comes down to. You're full of shit.
Definitely. I mean, that top four in the Eastern Conference is a murderer's row.
It's not a new take, but the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs are going to be a ton of fun. Like, it's going to be
better
awesome.
than the
It's
finals.
1,000,000%. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. If you have the top four teams in the East battling, every night,
Exactly.
it's just going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be awesome.
And an underrated aspect of that, as we get closer to the end of the season, those last few games to fight for seeding and positioning, it's going to be very interesting in the Eastern Conference. So I'm excited to see that one. Cap, next up, who do you have for most improved player in the NBA?
All right, we're going with one of the other top teams in the East, and that is Pascal Siakam.
Okay.
If you've seen his progression, his numbers from what they were last year to this year, he has become probably the second most valuable player on the Raptors. If you look at the advanced metrics and statistics, averaging a ton more points, more minutes, and we've seen him do these phenomenal performances and pour in 30, 40 points on a somewhat consistent basis. And again, be that next level player just below Kawhi Leonard for the Raptors, who are one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, we thought Kyle Lowry would be the second best player in the Toronto Raptors before the season. It's Pascal at this point. He dropped 44 points on Wednesday. He's running away with the most improved player. That's why he's never been in these trade talks. He's been highly coveted, but the Raptors aren't
way too valuable.
Yeah, way too valuable. And he was compared to Draymond Green. At this point, is Pascal better than Draymond Green?
No, because I still think Draymond Green's a better defender.
For sure.
But offensively, Pascal Siakam can give you 30 to 40 points. Draymond can't give you that.
It's incredible. Since you have Pascal, that was my most improved player, but I give you a secondary choice for most improved player, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's been playing outrageous in Sacramento. He's really validating that trade, and for the first time, Vivek Ranadive looks like
I know they actually have their stuff together in Sacramento. It's like it's nuts.
Yeah, he wanted Buddy Hield before the draft when he was drafted by New Orleans. Now they got him in Sacramento.
The next Steph Curry.
Air quotes on that one, but he's been playing phenomenal. So that's my second most improved player. Now, Cap, we always have to respect the bench players. So who do we have for Sixth Man of the Year?
This one's a bit of a swerve because I think if you saw other lists and other people's midseason awards, they wouldn't have this guy. He'd definitely be a candidate, but I don't think they gave the award to him. I gave it to the Clippers' Montrezl Harrell. But Harrell is my pick just because the energy he gives off the bench for the Clippers, who have been a surprise for sure, still being in the playoff race, and obviously they kind of got dismantled around the trade deadline, but Harrell averaging 15 points, I think close to 10 boards, and again, the energy he gives rebounding on defense and being this ball of energy for the second unit of the Clippers is why I'm kind of giving it to him in a bit of a swerve. You can make a case for Domantas Sabonis. You can make a case for Lou Williams on the Clippers also. There's a few of the guys in the mix, but I just wanted to swerve and go with Montrezl Harrell. So that's who we put for our Complex Sports Sixth Man of the Year.
And the fact that at one point in time, the Clippers were the #1 seed in the Western
They
Conference.
were, yeah, in December, yeah.
And they played really well, and they have been playing well. Nobody expected the Clippers to be at this point that they're at now, especially in a tough Western Conference with no definitive star player. And the fact that they're still playing pretty well after shipping out Tobias Harris had that huge comeback victory against the Boston Celtics. So I'm with you on that Sixth Man of the Year choice. Who do you have for defensive player?
It's got to be Paul George. I mean, I think what we've seen from him, if you look at the advanced metrics and also the fact that he's leading the league in steals right now and basically the anchor of one of the better defensive teams in the NBA, Paul George to me is the no-brainer defensive player of the year. There's some other candidates out there, but I can't make a better case for anyone else over Paul George. Maybe the secondary pick is Draymond because we've seen Draymond motivated with obviously max level extension ramifications if he wins the Defensive Player of the Year award, and he's been playing awesome defense recently. But again, I think Paul George has to win the award.
Yeah, Paul George is a great candidate. In fact, I think Paul George will win Defensive Player of the Year. Honestly, I have Paul George in the MVP race.
He should be.
He
should be.
He's been playing out of his mind. So since you go Paul George, I'm actually going to go Draymond Green.
Okay.
The fact that he's healthy now, he's really become the engine once again for that Golden State Warriors team. We see him night in, night out, continue to dominate and continue to play really well. I think he's healthy for the first time this season.
He looks it, yeah. I mean, the energy he's been giving and some of the plays he's been making, like he's been seemingly in overdrive on the defensive end. And again, I allude to the fact that there's a stipulation within his contract.
Supermax.
He's eligible for the Supermax if he wins the Defensive Player of the Year award, I think this year or however the contract stipulates. But he could be looking at a $100 million extension or a $200 million extension if he wins Defensive Player of the Year award. So obviously massive incentive for Draymond to just go, balls out on the defensive side.
And also, I was kind of poking fun before we got into the segment about Defensive Player of the Year, but Rudy Gobert is also in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He's been really
still one of the
well.
best.
Still one of the best. It's unfortunate that he didn't make the All-Star team, but the fact that he's been able to help restart the Utah Jazz after they started off pretty slow this season, you have to put him in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. But Paul George is a great choice. And finally, the most anticipated topic of the Midseason Awards, MVP. Cap, who is your MVP so far this NBA season?
We gave it to James Harden. So people may have contention and have, issue with that, but I gave it to James Harden because we saw a massive turnaround in the Rockets' record and where they were going from mid-December when basically we wrote on the site that the Rockets weren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I did a video about them not making the playoffs.
Exactly, yes. So there were some spicy hot takes that we got off in December because I think the Rockets were roughly 11-14, a few months into the season, looked awful.
In the basement of the Western Conference.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, and if numbers-wise, it wasn't projecting out for them to make the playoffs. And then James Harden went into sicko mode, and you've seen him just going crazy, averaging 30-plus points for the past 30 games and doing some amazing things on offense. So because we've seen the massive turnaround from the basement of the Western Conference to now being in the middle and thoroughly in the mix for the playoffs and kind of resembling a bit to a degree what they were last year. That's why I gave it to James Harden over Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I think slotting in third would probably be Paul George.
He's been tied. He has 22 40-point performances this year, tied with Michael Jordan. Mike, of course, his most 40-point games in the season was in 86-87. He had 37 40-point games, which is incredible. James had 42 against Minnesota. He's been playing out of his mind this season, so a rightful choice for MVP. My MVP this season is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay. The fact that he's been able to revitalize the Milwaukee Bucks, we knew they'd be good, but we didn't know they'd be this good prior to the season. The fact that he's shooting roughly 22% from the three-point line and is still avraging points.
That's my contention, though. We haven't seen the progression in his three-point shot.
Well, who cares?
I know he can still get to the basket crazy, and he can barrel over guys and just, and he's just so much stronger, and it's like, 2 steps and he's at the basket to dunk on guys. But I would have liked to have seen the progression of him become a better three-point shooter. We've seen a regression in his three-point shot.
So that's why you have James as MVP instead of Giannis.
That's one of the reasons. That factors into it for me.
Cap, since we're here at the midseason, to close out the video, give me your early finals prediction.
I want to believe that the Sixers, with how talented they are and how much I should say how defensively they're a bunch of dogs in the final 5 minutes, I want to think that's enough for them to get to the finals in the East. So I'm going to say the Sixers and stick to my guns, and then you have to be out of your goddamn mind not to pick the Warriors.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to go Warriors-Sixers.
Warriors-Sixers. That's pretty good. The East is so stacked.
So the 2 best starting 5s going against each other would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. But I think the finals for now, mid-season, of course, Warriors-Raptors. And I think that'll be
that'd be fun too. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. So, of course, we want to know your thoughts on the NBA Midseason Awards down in the comment section below. But for now, we'll be signing out. For Complex News, I'm Pierce Simpson. My guy, Adam Caparell. We'll see you soon.